because we smoked so much in high school that I stopped enjoying it. If you do it for too much and too long, it starts to just make you paranoid, and it's a very actually unpleasant feeling. Um, it started to make me like I started to really not like it, so I just stopped doing it. And every once in a while, for old time's sake. To answer your original question, peace of mind. Once I started to have peace of mind, and part of it's the age thing nowadays. Like I would never want to be hungover anymore. So I used to get vicious hangovers. But it's not that dissimilar from what you talked about. You start to feel more at peace in your own skin, and you're not at war with yourself, and you just don't feel the need to kill off the thing inside of you that is plaguing you, so to speak, that the drugs are trying to do away with. That's how I heard your story. I don't know if that's how you intended it, but you kind of faced yourself. You had a year to stare in the mirror, and you kind of worked something out, right?
Your biggest competition and the most difficult thing to conquer in your life is yourself. The moment that
Right.
you're able to realize that if you feel like you're locked in a prison, it's one that you built for yourself, and that you have the keys in your pocket the entire time. It's just, are you willing to reach into your pocket, take those keys, and let yourself out? Some people aren't. Some people get way too comfortable inside of that prison. And if religion gives you a peace of mind, I think that's great. My grandmother is the shining example of what a Christian should strive to be. She follows that book to a T. I mean, to the letter. And
Right.
there's a finer Christian woman alive, and I would
Right.
never, never ever take that away from her. But she also doesn't try to uh, make religion that special to other people. You know what I mean? Like it's her thing, and she enjoys it for herself. Where I take great offense is the notion that other people can take it and then try to apply it to other people's lives. Because if they knew, or if they could feel for a day what I felt for 25 years, they'd never try it again. I guarantee you that it would never happen.
Well, when you were struggling in your well, first let's go further with the biography. So you get out of prison and you start becoming more of a public atheist. Is that part of what the thing that you just described? Like, it's kind of part of your mission, isn't it? You want to give that to somebody else in terms of how you felt. This is what I hear. You tell me if I'm hearing this correctly. That for you,
Sure.
becoming an atheist was, and I imagine this is true of a lot of people that I've talked to, there was a sense of liberation there. There's a sense of, I no longer have to fight to keep myself in a box that I don't fit in, and I feel free now that I don't have to believe this, and I can be, especially with the gay, I can be who I am. Is that fair to say? That's what I heard. Is that true?
That would be accurate. I would think that would be accurate.
So now you start becoming more of a public. I don't know if we're there yet. Are we in your public ministry? I'm about to say your public ministry, Kyle. Did we get to your public ministry
Yes,
yet?
we are at the Reverend Kyle Curtis's
See,
pinnacle.
it has a nice ring to it. You say it sarcastically, but it just sounds so right, Kyle. Oh,
It
come
does.
on.
It does. No, I do this, and I became I got into this by accident. Actually, to be honest with you, complete accident. I had no desire whatsoever to be a YouTuber. None. A year ago, around this time, actually, this was around the time that all of this started. It was a year ago. I was watching a Christopher Hitchens debate, and it was on autoplay. And I walked out of the room, and it had went to the next video. The next video was a debate video that Steve was hosting, and
Steve McRae.
I was Right. And I was listening, and it was between I think Red's Rhetoric and G-Man. But I remember I was like, oh wow, there's like amateurs that do this on YouTube. Had no clue. So I started really watching them, and I just had this idea pop in my head, and I said, you know what? I bet it'd be really cool to kind of do what we're doing right now. I wanted to do I wanted to get in touch with a couple of them, record a interview with them, and do kind of like VH1 used to do, behind the music, but with the debaters, just to see what led them to the side that they were on, and I wanted to do a 4 episode podcast. That was it. I just wanted to do a really simple podcast, upload it to iTunes, and be done. It was a side project. That was it. I didn't even spend a lot of time thinking about it. And I contacted Steve. Steve was actually the first person that I interviewed. I interviewed G-Man. I interviewed Brett King. And I interviewed Alex Botten. And a lot of people out there will know those names, but they were like the old school, I guess, in the amateur debate world. And it was good. I'm waiting for the first year of our show, when we turn 1, to release those interviews. I've still got them, but talking to them really got me like, wow, we should go deeper into this, or we should have them come on and talk together, but in not a debate, a discussion. Because with the debates and the rigid format, all you're really doing is having one person come up and talk, the next person come up and talk. There's no interaction. There's no being able to take a statement and dive deeper right then. You have to wait for their 10 minutes to be done, and then that moment's lost. So I said, we should do maybe a discussion once a month. And Steve said, yeah, let's try it. Let's do it. So we booked two discussions between Red's Rhetoric and Nate Thomas, was a flat earther, and then Kent Hovind and Dr. Mays. And it took off from there. And now we literally are booked solid every day until the middle of November. And here we are.
Wow, it's only been a year? Is that possible? Wow, that's the thing where Shannon threw me, because I consider Shannon Miss Atheist, and she's
our first video was uploaded to YouTube on January the 27th. So we still have 3 more months to go before it's a year. This is our 9th month being on.
Wow, that's mind-boggling, because I consider you guys have been around forever, and actually I probably started earlier than you did.
It feels like we have. I think with the amount of to be completely honest with you, the people and the guys that watch and leave comments and support us are the entire motivation and why we are where we are today. I mean, it's been unreal, the response, and it's very humbling. It makes you take a step back, because a year ago you would never be able to tell me that I would be a YouTuber in a year. I would have laughed at you. It would have been so far out there to me. But now I can't imagine doing anything else, and I love what I do, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, a lot of you guys in your crew, and I think I've pointed this out on other videos, are on the trajectory to be the Matt Dillahunties and the Aaron Ra's of tomorrow. I forget who I originally theorized about that with, but that's really where a lot of this is heading. Most of the people who I've had on my show you turn around 2 years from now, and they're going to be the well-known atheists about town. If that's what Matt Dillahunty and Aaron Ra are, in fact, the public faith of atheism. And you'll have stories of I was watching my first Godless Cranium video when I was 23, and that's how it's going to all go down.
I would say that those two are impossible shoes to fill, but those shoes that do fill them will be the right ones, and any of those guys that you're referring to would be just fantastic at leading whatever whatever this is a couple years from now. Any of those guys, the Apologia, Godless Cranium, Godless Engineer, Holy Kool-Aid, any of those guys we'd be lucky to have them. So I'm fine with
Cirrus the Skeptic and Shannon.
Cirrus is a squirrel in 3 squirrels in a man suit. So by law he can't. That's the atheist bylaws. And Shannon is a woman, I'll have you know, so obviously she can't.
Shannon is a woman. I do agree with that. I do agree with that assessment.
She has to be in the kitchen and do the ironing. That's
wow. See, I couldn't even make that joke. That'd be too off the charts controversial.
Oh, why?
But I will allow that.
It's she would
because
die
there's some.
That's the thing.
Somebody would for sure bust my ass about it. Be like, yeah, you hear him say women should be ironing, and he's one of those type of Christians.
Listen, tell them to lighten the fuck up. Shannon would die at that joke, and that's what it is. Everyone, lighten up. The world is way too serious as it is, and if you are trying to be the joke police or trying to tell people that they can't make these jokes, even though that's just in reference to a particular factual time period that we had in America. I mean, that's the way that it was. I'm just, referring to a a time that really existed.
A historical fact. You're just right. Referencing historical facts. That was a little history lesson.
Get a life. That's what I say. If you get angry about that and that upsets you, get a life. That's my advice. Hey,
I hear you, Kyle. So, this struggle internally when you were just a wee thing, when you're a young little rapscallion Kyle, and you're struggling, you knew that you were. Did you suppress the information from yourself, or did you know you were gay in high school? And how strong is that? I have no idea. I mean, I have no idea how that works.
I think both. Probably my earliest memory of when I knew that I was different was in middle school. We would always have twice a month. We'd have dances on Friday nights at this the school. And I remember being at the lunch table, eating our square pizza and horrible frozen corn. And my friend at the time was writing a letter or a note. It was one of those check yes or no's. You know what I'm saying? Those love letters, but not really love letters. But he was asking this girl to dance with him.
Meet behind the barn and smooch and something like that.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And he asked me, "Who are you writing your note to?" And
you're like, I hadn't thought about it.
Well, he didn't know, and obviously the middle schoolers, it's not a deep subject that we really cover, but I remember stopping and going, well, if I had it my way, I would probably be asking you. I didn't say that out loud, of course, but I remember going, well, if we had to choose somebody to go to the dance with, it would be Ben. And that was probably the first that I can recall and the most striking, the one that stuck with me, where I was like, I don't have a desire to go with any of the girls. Is that normal? Is that a bad thing?
Right. And in the years that you were like, see, maybe things haven't changed that much, but I grew up in New York, outside of New York City. And when I was in high school in the 80s, right? Now, there was no openly gay person then, but I'm 100% sure if you went to my high school, the same town today, there would be a lot. There'd be like at least 10 or at least 3 in every grade. Like of my Facebook friends, 20 out of 200 people. That's pretty high percentage.
It's a different world.
Right. But I think it would actually be, because this was already starting to happen in college, it would be considered kind of cool or chic or not necessarily like dangerous, but you know how things are going